Hey friends, today I did a live stream diving into Framer's effects and interactions for the first time, and it was a pretty interesting experience. I got a first-hand look at how Framer handles micro interactions, even for something as simple as buttons. I also explored how different the thought process is when creating something like a background color change on scroll, similar to what you see on helloheko.com, or is it Heko, which was built with Webflow. In this video, I'll walk you through what I've learned about building simple button interactions and background color changes on scroll in both Framer and Webflow. Let's jump in. All right, we're gonna jump into Framer first, and we're going to make a hover and pressed state for this button. How to do that is right-click, create component, name it button or whatever else you want, create, and there you go. Now, my first thought was to click on this plus button right here to create a second variant and then add an interaction to make that animation happen between variant 1 and variant 2. But actually, I'm supposed to click on the bottom one. So if you scroll or zoom in, you'll see that this already says hover and pressed, whereas this one just says variant, right? So to make it faster, you just click on plus, hover, and now you have the hover variant without having to add a custom interaction to it. All right, so if I click on that and make it a background color that's darker and press play, you'll see that there's already a animation happening on hover, right? And if I click out and I click on hover, now I have the option for also the pressed. So if I click on that, now I have hover and pressed, and also of course the original state, which is the none state. Now for this, let's go ahead and just simply change the background color to something like gray. And if I press play, hover, press, hover, and then leave. There you go. Really, really cool. And another thing I just stumbled upon, because I was like, okay, how do you add an arrow on hover? And I didn't think this was gonna work, but I double clicked in here, pressed dash greater than, and it turned it to it turned it into an arrow, all right? And if I press play now, watch what happens. It moves the content to the left. It moved that content to the left and animated in. I didn't add any animations to it. I thought that was pretty awesome. And so I experimented more and I was like, okay, what if on the pressed state I add an emoji? What would happen? You know, there has to be some sort of error, or like the text just like a light switch just goes to thumbs up and then back to button. So if you press play, you got that hover, but then it animates the new text in. That actually blew my mind. I was like, that was quick. Now let's head over to Webflow, okay? So I have this button right here, and let's go ahead and add a hover. So if you see here, there's hover and pressed, but however, Webflow has more accessibility with focused, focus keyboard, and visited. Right? These are three things that I don't see off the bat with Framer. Unless, let me double check. Yeah, I don't see, like, say I make another, if I drag this is the interaction. Yeah, so if you look here, click, start, appear, mouse, enter, mouse, leave. I don't see anything for accessibility here, okay? So let's go ahead and go back to hover in Webflow, and let's change the background color to something darker. And if I press play, you'll see there's no animation right off the bat. You actually have to put that in, okay? And how to put that in is on the none state. I will go to transitions, choose background color, and let's change this to 500 milliseconds. Press play. And now we have that nice gradual background color change. Let's go ahead and make the background color change on pressed. Scroll down, change the background to something like gray, and press play. Hover, press, hover, leave. Now next, I want to show you how I've learned how to make a background color change in Framer and then also doing it in the way I know in Webflow. So the example I have here is hellohecko.com again. And if you scroll down, the background changes to something like white and then black. And I didn't know how to do this in Framer, and it took me a while to try to get it, and I was close, but shouts out to Lucas for helping me out. He sent me a remix of how to do it, and so let me show you how to do this in Framer. Okay, so in Framer, I have this color section right here. It has a position of sticky, and it's going to stick to the top at 0. If I press play, you'll see that it sticks, and all the other sections below it will just slide on top of it. And so here's how we do that. I'm going to press on the color section, and this is what we do. We need to right click, create a component, and let's call it a color section or whatever you want. Press create, and now we're going to give it different variants. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to click on this right here. Now we're on variant 2. Let's give it a background color of something like green. And let's change this to be opacity 0 so we don't see it. And now let's go ahead and add another variant. And then variant 3, let's go ahead and make sure that the background is, let's make it red. All right, so if I go to page, we should see variant 1, but now each of these stacks, the next stacks for row 2 and row 3, let's go ahead and give them a scroll section name. So we need to give them some sort of ID. So this is going to be row-2. This one is going to be row-3, and that's it. That's all we have to do. So let's go ahead and go back to color section. And now what we need to do is add effects. And this is what we want to focus on, the scroll variant. If I click on that, that means when I'm scrolling, I can change the variant that we've already set. So section in view, when row 2 gets into the middle of the page, go to variant 2. So we're going from variant 1 to variant 2. And then we can add a section and say, all right, when you get to row 3, I want you to go to variant 3. And that's it. That's how we get that background color change. If I press play, we get this, and there we go. The end. And it goes backwards too. Let me show you how to do it in Webflow. So in Webflow, you have these rows, just like we set up in Framer. Each row is 100% VH. And now what we have to do is we have to add Webflow interactions. So how we do that is we go to this first row right here. We can add while scrolling in view, play scroll animation, and we add a new one. And we're going to call this row 2. And now we want to target its parent section right here, and then we're going to change background color. So you don't have background color style changes in Framer, but you do in Webflow, because it's a different kind of mindset, because you're dealing with variants in Framer, but in Webflow you're dealing with certain interactions, right? So this one, we're going to start from transparent, and we're going to end at, let's give it a color of green. Nope, there we go. Color of green. There we go. And let's make this green happen at 20%. So if I preview here, scroll down, there we go. And see, the difference between Webflow interactions and Framer is you can have precise, you can make more precise adjustments to animations than in Framer, all right? So Framer, you can do it fast, but with Webflow, you can have really precise controls. Like if I want to go 21% for some reason, I can, all right? So I'm gonna bring it back to 20 because I like even numbers. And there you go. Save, and you're done with the first one. Now let's go to the second one, or sorry, the row 3. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna add an element trigger for while scrolling in view, play scroll animation, and I'm gonna duplicate duplicate it, and we have row 3. Now I don't want to do the same thing. What I want to do is start from this, I want to start from green and then end to red. So I'm going to delete this first keyframe and I'm going to move this to 0. So I'm going to start from green, duplicate this and send it to keyframe 20. And now I'm going to change it to red. And I press save and we're done. So if I scroll down, there we go, it's green, white to green, and then to red. The end. So yeah, two different mindsets. So again, Webflow, lots of control, and you also get some accessibility options. In Framer, I couldn't find accessibility options right off the bat, but you get automatic animations using variants. And when it comes to the scrolling interactions, you have to think differently, where the targeting is you start here and you start with the base element that you want to change, make variants to that, and you add effects to that using scroll variants. And then the targets, the elements that come into view is what you want to target, and how you do that is with scroll section and you're naming them. All right, so those are the things that I've learned this morning, and thanks again to Lucas for helping me out with this interaction. And let me know what you think about these videos, these comparison videos. Let me know if you want to see more of them and what I should be comparing. But yeah, leave your comments below, like, subscribe, all those cool things, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for making the web beautiful together. See ya.